taking who we are at Rocket and putting it up on these big screens. You're part of that too, Dino. You're on some billboards and some of our commercials.
Hey guys, I have Austin Nemiec, the Chief Revenue Officer at Rocket Mortgage today. And you guys are going to like it because, there's so much talk about Rocket and they are the big boy, right? They're the 800-pound gorilla, I'll call them. But they are doing things different and they are so forward thinking. And for the first time ever, their CEO did not come from within, right? He didn't even come from the mortgage industry, he came from technology. But let's face it, guys, the mortgage industry is changing. It's not so much about, are you a mortgage guy anymore? It's like, are you technology? Because without technology, you can't even do mortgages anymore. So I think you're going to find it interesting. I know I did. And I can't wait to even see what more they're doing. But they have come out so strong with their technology. It's getting better day by day. They are so forward thinking that what we see today is just a glimpse of what the future holds. And I think you're going to see in this conversation how much of that we're going to talk about, as well as just day-to-day stuff that every mortgage originator should hear. In fact, one of the things that I loved, Austin makes a comment, and he's going to say it pretty early on, but he says, meaning like a mortgage loan officer says, we focus on rates more than the consumer does. And if you think through that a little bit, how often you are so worried about your interest rates. And the reality is you're focusing on interest rates more than the consumer is. Change the way you do business, change the way you talk to clients, and you will see a change in your business, a dramatic change. That's how I focused. I never even talked about interest rates. Sometimes we didn't even talk about interest rates until after they were pre-approved or till they found a house. They didn't ask me what the interest rate was. And that all is because of how I did the business, how I did the initial consultation. So if you guys learn how to do that, you will see how much better you'll get, and you'll stop letting the noise get in the way of making you a ton of money. So focus in on what he says there. We talk a lot about it, and then all the technology. I hope you guys like the show. Hey, Austin, how are you, man?
I'm doing well, Dino. How are you?
I am good, thank you. It's good being on the flip because I think you interviewed me 7-8 years ago or so.
I remember it was the Stronger Together podcast, and I was terrified to butcher your last name.
All right, dude. So listen, I have a ton of questions to ask you. I want to first question is who are you today, both personally and professionally? Then I'm going to take you back to day one and kind of walk back through your journey, hit all the major milestones back to today again.
Let's do it.
So who are you today, personally and professionally?
So professionally, I'll start there. As a chief revenue officer, I've worn a couple different hats, but right now I live, breathe, eat, sleep Rocket Pro and how we serve folks like you, Dino, in the broker community, which is exciting. Personally, I'm a father and I'm a husband. My wife, Teresa, and my 3 boys, they're 9, 6, and 4, 3 little meatheads, and they keep me going, man. I mean, between football and hockey and all the other things, it's never a dull moment in the Niemiec household. So between growing this business and hanging out with my wife and kids, that's about all I have time for.
And how long have you been married?
We just celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary back in June. So we're going on our 11th here soon.
Nice. Yeah. So I got to ask, are you tall?
I am 6 foot.
6 foot.
I don't know if you consider that tall.
So,
I think it's above average.
I mean, I'm 6'4", so no, you're still little.
I'm glad we're not standing next to each other.
I was telling somebody in the office that I was interviewing you, and you know what her reply was? Oh, is that the tall, good-looking one? I'm like, I don't think he's tall.
I'll take it. I'll take both of those things. Yeah.
You're the tall, good-looking one from now on, okay?
I'm watching.
All right, so let's go back to day one. How long have you been in the business? How long ago was that?
I've been in the business. I've been with Rocket over 17 seasons. So I'll celebrate my 18th year here in next February. And so it's been a minute. And I came right out of college to Rocket. So this has been my first and only and last job.
Did you play sports in college?
I did. I went to Hillsdale College in Michigan. I played football. And so
that's why you've been there for 17 seasons.
That's right. And I guess the journey to it was I graduated at the end of 2008. There was no jobs available in marketing, and I wanted to stay in Michigan. I got a big family in Metro Detroit, and I wanted to work hard. I wanted to build a career, and I wanted to work for a good company. And so, Quicken Loans back then, formerly known as Quicken Loans, was hiring for LO position, and so my family thought I was nuts getting into the mortgage industry at the end of '08, but I did it, and it was the best decision I ever made.
What was Quicken Loans like back then? How big were they, and what was the culture like? Because was it still Rocket, or did Rocket take him over? I remember Quicken. I just don't remember if it was the same company or not.
So we started as a broker back in 1986, Rock Financial. We were a broker for a while. Then we grew and we scaled and we built a branch model. And then back in the late 90s, Intuit purchased us and we became Quicken Loans. But Intuit purchased us, but we're still ran by Dan Gilbert, Bill Emerson, our leadership team. And then we actually bought the company back from Intuit, just I believe it was a few years later, but we kept the name Quicken, so Quicken Loans, up until we rebranded to Rocket. So that's a little bit of the journey. I think my brand on the phone was, hey, if you remember, have you ever heard of TurboTax? Yes. Okay. Well, Intuit, Quicken. So we kind of leaned on the Intuit brand. I think we were the 15th largest lender in America. Every year we just kept chipping away, chipping away, and then became the largest. So it was cool. I thought the company was huge when I joined. And I remember thinking, man, I wish I was back on the ground floor back when we were a broker. And little did I know, I kind of was on the ground floor.
How many of the guys, or were there a lot of the guys that are still there that were there back then?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my training class, I think there was a grand total of 8 of us because, again, it was at the end of '08. So we weren't hiring big classes. There's still a few of us
Yeah.
left. Yes.
So you started schlepping loans, and how did that go out of the gate? Were you a natural?
Loved it. I remember, I mean, I was 21 years old, 22. I remember putting a headset on. And I just remember I'm like, I get to ask people social security number. I get to pull their credit. I get to review all their debts, ask them how much money they make, ask them how much they have in the bank, ask them about their emotional goals. I'm like, I have the freedom to ask people all these questions that are like wild as a 21-year-old. And so like that was exciting for me. And then I didn't know a whole lot about mortgages. So I remember just hiding behind like building rapport and trying to make people laugh and digging deep about everything but the mortgage. And then when I presented the mortgage, tying it to like who they are and why it helped them, and it works. And what I found early was people make decisions on emotion and charisma, and you can do a lot by being curious and asking questions. And sometimes when you actually learn a lot about mortgages and become super educated, you become confusing and not relatable, and you become
Yeah.
less effective. So, and I wanted to do well and I wanted to win. And that's kind of how I fueled the first year of my few years of my career. It's through grit and hustle.
It's interesting. You made a comment about how you used to get to ask people these questions of like, how much money do you make? How much debt do you have? Right? What's your social? All that. So funny. One time we were at a dinner, and the couple we were with asked me some loan questions, and I immediately fired back with some very personal questions
Yeah.
like that. My wife looked at me. She's like, "Don't ask him these questions. Like, that's so rude." I'm like, "Honey, it's what I do every day, every single day. That's what I do." And the reason why I'm telling this story is because, now that I'm not originating and I'm trying to grow the company, I'm having to deal with all sorts of originators. In theory, some of them are experienced and seasoned and been around for a while. And I'm just like, didn't you know that? Like, how did you not know that? And what I found is how scared originators are to ask difficult questions.
Yeah.
And I think, if we want to relate anything that we're saying, right, all of this is to figure out how to teach originators how to be better at their job, but also not just to make more money, not to just be more successful at it, but to be happier, to have a better work-life balance, right? To have a more successful marriage and be a better father or wife, or mother and all that stuff. So I found through my experience that asking these hard questions up front really takes care of a lot of the problems afterwards, right? You don't fall into these holes because you already knew about it. You already had the solution. And I'm worried about technology a little bit. I love technology, by the way. But I'm a little worried about it because what I'm finding is an originator will lean on, here's a link, fill out the app.
Yep.
And they don't bother having like an initial consultation anymore. I had an initial consultation with everybody, period, no matter what. I knew everything that needed to happen after that consultation. But whenever there was a link, I don't, how am I going to know?
Yep.
You can't get that off of a loan application sometimes. So obviously, and I want to get more into this later, but I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but obviously Rocket is huge into technology, right? And I want the whole last half of the show to be all about that, but I'm going to skip just a little bit and ask, how do you guys work through things like that? Because ultimately, right, I mean, there is a lot of technology built in, but you lose track of the personal relationship that can get built through the personal interaction. You lose track of the difficult things that never got asked and then pop up later, right? Like, do you guys think through that stuff at all, or is that not really an issue for you guys?
Technology is so beautiful when you let it do what technology does so that it allows humans to do what humans do best, right? Let tech and AI do what tech and AI do best so that humans can shine at being human. And that we lean hard into that at Rocket. I think that we aren't a commodity business. I mean, yes, people can do things with rates, but at the end of the day, we're all within an eighth or a quarter of each other. The payments based off the loan amount, so your payments. It's like, what are you going to do to differentiate yourself? And we, I think, focus on rates more than the consumer does. Like loan officers almost psych themselves out. So back to your question, like I know people look at Rocket as a technology company, and we are. And I think we're the best in the industry when it comes to mortgage technology. But our humans are still the biggest part of what we do. The AI, if you were to study what LOs at Rocket do, the AI is doing a lot of the work for them, but every loan is still originated for the most part because of a loan officer. And the more and more we implement AI, the more and more the LOs are just talking about everything but the mortgage, um, which is important. I guess to go backwards a moment, the advice I always guide, because I ran a huge region of loan officers and LOs and teams and things of that nature. And I think the most important thing, if you want to be a pro and you want to do this for your career and you want to be really good at it, I think the most important thing is staying fresh. You have to stay fresh. You have to keep your brain fresh. You have to have fun or else you're going to burn. I've watched so many LOs burn out, do well, burn out. And the best way to stay fresh is having combos that aren't related to the mortgage. It's like when you're talking to a client, it's like, why are they broke? What do they need money for? Do they have a family? Are they going to have a bigger family? Do they like their job? Why do they like their job? Why don't they like their job? When do they want to retire and why? What do they love about their home? How long are they going to be in their home? Guess what? That's fun to talk about. That like keeps you fresh. And what else it does, Dino, is then when you're presenting the loan, you tie it back to those things that matter to them, not the APR, not the cost, not the rate. People will choose you because you've custom tailored a loan. So I would always say, as a LO, I would say the same thing to every client. I'm going to ask you some questions that seem weird. LOs listening to this, I just encourage, one, it will help your conversion and help you become a better sales professional. But two, it'll also keep you fresh selfishly and allow you, those are fun combos to have. So
You know, it's funny. I already took a bunch of notes because I love a lot of the stuff you said. And I absolutely love the phrase or the statement, we focus on rates more than the consumer does.
we do.
It's it's so crazy. So I had a one of my loan officers, he's younger, but he called me yesterday and he's got a VA loan he's trying to put together. And uh, you know, he was just negotiating with himself almost, right? And he said, no, that he just won't go for that. He just wants the lowest rate possible. And I'm like, okay, that means he's got to pay points though, right? Or I go, but look, dude, if you give him a little bit of a higher rate right now, we obviously just took a knee-jerk reaction to this war and bam, rates skyrocketed. I do believe they're going to come back down. So let's just do the math. Let me teach you how to do math. This is the rate with the point. This is a rate with no points. This is a rate with rebate. Now it's simple math. what is the payoff period, right?
Yep.
What is the break even point? And I'm like, in this case, it's 2.7 years. Does logic tell you, if logic says to me, if you believe rates will drop in less than 2.7 years, don't spend all that money. If he's afraid he can't afford that, then take that $8,000 he was about to pay in points, stick it in a bank account, and every month pull the $250.
Yep.
You can afford it. Right. And then he kept saying that, he wants that 5.25 because that's what I quoted him the first time, and that was a month ago. I'm like, but do you realize that doesn't exist right now? It just doesn't exist. I go, he can't get it anywhere else. Don't think that you're gonna lose him because you can't give him that rate anymore. But he was negotiating with himself, trying to do that. He was focused on the
Yep.
rates, and that's why your phrase is so important. And the second a loan officer takes everything to the rate, I think they've become a commodity at that point, right? They have not become an advisor. They have not gotten to know what's important to their client and how to structure the best deal for their client. Um, I got to say something else too that I both like it and don't like it, but a lot of times when I recruit, I'll say stuff like, "No, listen, I think technology is great. I think I'm leaning into it heavy. I'm trying to find all the right stuff. I'm trying to build stuff." I go, "But here's the deal: places like Rocket, and Loan Depot, and some of these big boys," I said, "they just got too much money. They're going to develop something way better than any of us are." I go, "So let them, right? Just let them." I go, "Let them do what they do so well, but they don't know how to talk to people. They don't care about people." And I go, "But we do. We love people. We love our clients." And then I was listening to, how do you say the CEO's name? Is it Varun?
Varun Krishna. Yeah.
Yep, Varun. I was listening to Varun. I was like, gosh dang, he just said the exact same thing I did. He's trying to make Rocket love people. And I'm like, I never thought of Rocket that way. I just thought they were just this big company. You call in, you get your rate, and it's done, right? But over since that moment, I've been studying Rocket a lot from a leadership perspective because I'm trying to grow my company. And, I've always been a big producer, but now I'm trying to be a good CEO. And I'm like, okay, I got to study good CEOs. And I got to admit, I really fell in love with the leadership at Rocket. And once I saw how you guys are structuring things, I was just like, these guys are different. These guys are doing such a great job at leadership and at growing this company. And I've always, as an originator, my big thing was through the theory of reciprocity, right? I'm going to do well. So what was my goal as an originator? My goal was to make other people money. My insurance guy, my trust guy, my financial planner, my attorney, all of these people. I was just trying to get them deals. And through reciprocity, I knew it would come back. And I kind of feel like that's what you guys do. You guys are trying to help us be successful at what we do. And just through the reciprocity theory, we're giving it right back. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like that's your guys' approach. You're spending all this money trying to make our lives easier and make us be more successful.
Yeah. Spot on. About 9 years ago, I came over to the wholesale side from the retail side. And I didn't know a whole lot about wholesale. And so the way I learned it was I got in the trenches and, we flew brokers into Detroit and we sat and we listened to them. What do you want? What do you need? What do you love about us? What do you hate about us? How do we create the best partnership in America? And so many people said exactly what you said. Like after they'd fly into our campus, they'd meet our team. We'd sit and they're like, for so long, I thought Rocket was just like this call center, headset jockeys that all they cared about was X, Y, and Z. And like studying your culture and looking at Detroit and what you guys have done to the city and getting to know you, like my perspective has changed. And it would kind of offend me. Like, why did you think that? But I do kind of get it, because we brought in a new CMO. His name is Jonathan Mildenhall. He's one of the most talented business people I have ever met.
Total stud.
An unbelievable.
Total
I mean,
stud.
you want to talk about someone that's wildly creative, but can just execute lights out. I mean, this guy was the CMO of Airbnb. He was one of the top marketers for Coca-Cola. And I've just learned so much for him. But after like 6 months, he sat down with a few of us and he's like, This is going to be so easy. He goes, all what we are internally, our culture at Rocket, who we are, what we're doing for the city of Detroit, how we care about the client, our isms, our culture. We just literally need to tell our story externally. And we've done the opposite. We've used comedy, we've used gimmicks, we've used comedians and celebrities to try to tell who we are. That's like fake. Just tell. So, now you look at how we come to the world with, if you rewind 2 years ago at the Super Bowl with like Own the Dream, and we just told the beauty of homeownership and the beauty of what it is to be to the beauty of what we do as originators. It's real, it's emotional, it's not funny. Can be funny, but it's a big deal. And I just give kudos to Jonathan for taking who we are at Rocket and what we do as originators and putting it up on these big screens. You're part of that too, Dino. You're on some billboards and some of our commercials now.
Yeah.
But it's awesome because it's a homeownership's a beautiful thing. Now you mentioned, look, we have really big ambition at Rocket, and our mission is to help everyone home. And everyone is a big word. It's everyone. And our strategy is to create the first ever tip to tail homeownership platform from start to finish. Not mortgage platform, but homeownership platform. And to do this right, we need brokers. And I believe brokers need us. They don't just need us. I'm not trying to say brokers need us or they're not. But I believe with what we're bringing together, we used to say we're stronger together. I believe that. It's like when we can use our strengths and give it to brokers, and brokers do what they do best with their strengths, we can just create something beautiful. And I think what we have now to offer brokers is better than anything we've ever had to offer because this world is changing so fast. And I mean, I could go on and on and on and talk about what we built at Rocket and how we're bringing brokers into the fold, but it's special. We're reimagining what it is to be a wholesale lender, period. I think over the last 10 years, wholesale's, it's grown a lot and it's very competitive, which is beautiful for brokers. And I think these portals have gotten better that wholesale lenders have provided brokers. I think pricing's gotten competitive, turn times have gotten sharp, but that's kind of the game, right? It's like who has a good portal and good pricing and who can close loans on time. It's time to reinvent what a wholesale partner does for brokers. And we're starting to do that. And that's a big reason why I decided to come back and lead the Rocket Pro channel. And I could talk your ear off if you want about the vision we have, but I agree with what the question.
So I'm gonna try and draw some of that out of you, so you can talk my ear off on it. But I want to do it in little stages, little bits. All right, as the guy that's out there trying to grow ethos lending, I talked to several different people. Obviously, the UWM versus Rocket thing pops up. I'm always proud to say, well, we're on the Rocket side, and you want to know all my reasons. I'll be more than glad to tell you, and I'll say it right now, so then we can segue into some of this stuff. I believe a broker is better because they have the option of truly being a good fiduciary for their client. They can go wherever they want. Now, I will also say that a good mortgage loan originator doesn't always choose the lowest price because that's not always what's best for the client. If you're late on a purchase and cause everybody a ton of stress over an eighth of a point, that's not what's best for the client. If you end up costing everybody a bunch of money because they had to cancel moving trucks and various things, right? That's not what's best for the client. You're also not going to grow your business. You're also not going to get any referrals. And guess what? Everybody's going to hate you, right? Because you chose to go for the cheapest brand around. Now, with all that said, I choose Rocket because I don't want to be told that I can't use somebody. Because what if I go with UWM and then Rocket's better? Now you're saying I can't go to them. Like, how fair is that when you're preaching, you got to do what's best for your client. That's why brokers are better. It just completely defies the concept of being a broker. So that's why I choose Rocket, right? But it goes deeper than that. At the end of the day, consistency is very important to me. People ask me, well, how do you do so much volume? Right. And okay, I don't originate anymore, but it wasn't too long ago and I did 156 million. And how do I do it? Well, I'll tell you, I think altogether that year I used 7 banks, and 4 of the banks I gave less than like 2% of my volume to. All of the rest went to the same places, right? And the reason why is because consistency, it was extremely important to me. I didn't want to go ask a bunch of questions to see if I could do something. I needed to have predictability and consistency. Those are the two main things. Rate always had to be good, didn't have to be the best, just had to be good every time. And as long as I could get predictability and consistency, I knew exactly what I could represent myself as doing out in the public every single time. I need to close the loan for 15 days. I can guarantee it. In fact, I always used to put on my contracts, $250 a day penalty per diem paid by me to the seller directly if I don't close on time. Wouldn't do that if I was going to some random place, right? With Rocket, I always know I could do that. So with that said, I do believe that a lot of originators out there need to get educated on how to choose the right partner, and rate is the wrong way to choose the right partner. Now, what I love about you guys is that you guys have never like spiked up or spiked down in any which way. You've just been really consistent, always in that top margin, right? That top space. And other companies, you see them just fluctuate up and down like crazy. I don't know what causes that, but do you guys have a model in place that says, "Oh, we're not going to react to anything. This is just how we're always going to be"?
Yeah. One of the biggest advantages we bring to the broker community is the fact that we have the largest retail mortgage company in America. And, our competition will try to actually spin it the other way. Like, why would you work with a wholesale lender that has retail and, instill fear and try to create drama? But in reality, because we have the largest retail mortgage company in America, we have incredible balance. We have incredible balance sheet. We have infrastructure, and we don't have. We're not a mono. Like, I think it's dangerous to be a company that has just one channel. You're not diverse. And so the fact that we have retail, we're also the largest servicer in America. We have Redfin. We're blessed. We are an all-weather company. And when you're an all-weather company like that, you don't have to play gimmicks and games, and you also don't have to whipsaw around margin and price. You can stay very, very, very steady, even if it means taking one on the chin for a month or a quarter to ensure that we're providing our partners with consistency so they can win and we can be reliable. And that's the same thing with infrastructure. Like, we have an incredible, massive ops team, and we're building all sorts of AI and automation because we have retail that we can deliver to our partners on the wholesale channel. And then there's all sorts of, I could go on and on. Like, our MI is the best in America. Why? Because of retail. And we give you the MI rates. Our high balance pricing, incredible. Why? It's bulk because of retail. And so the biggest, people always ask, like, why Rocket? Because we're the most balanced, well-capitalized, all-weather partner you have. And to answer your question about, our competitor, they actually try to tell you the opposite, and I couldn't disagree more. Like, if I'm a business owner that's building and I'm trying to figure out, unfortunately, there's this ultimatum where, first of all, the fact that you guys have to decide to work with us or them is silly, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But if you have to decide, which you have to decide, I know I'm biased, but I would want to be on the train with somebody that's going to be able to survive and uh, thrive in any market. And if you see what we've done, everyone's following us, including the people that are talking shit about us. They're trying to buy servicers. Well, we're the first one to do it, and we've done it in the biggest way, and others are struggling in a really big way to do it. We're creating top of the funnel for our brokers through Reddit Fin and other things. Others are now scrambling and trying, and other search engines are trying to do what we're doing now. And so it feels really good to be the leader, Dino. And I don't say it to be cocky, but like, when you look at the moves we've made over the last 3 years, we are leading the industry in innovation and taking this industry forward into where the world's headed. And gives me confidence for our brokers, because I think brokers would want to be, on the same side as the leader, and someone that's going to be able to get through these tough markets like we're today. We don't have to play the gimmicks with the rates. We don't have to take
Yeah.
things up because we're over capacity. We're just very well structured, and it's a competitive advantage for our partners.
So the other piece that comes up a lot, and I already have my answer, but I'll let you answer it. Um, but they do have a large retail department, and when it's time to refinance, they will take your client. What do you say
We
to that?
don't. It's simple as that. Look, um, we spend so much time, energy, effort, infrastructure building this Rocket Pro channel. We also know the second, Dino, if you were to give us a loan and then we were to close the loan and then have our retail solicit that loan, you would fire us. Take the emotion out of it, or what's the right thing to do. Why would we sacrifice your entire partnership, which could be hundreds and thousands of loans over time, for one client? It's a horrible business decision. So we do everything
Yeah.
in our power, and you know this. I'll ask you a question in a minute, where not only are we not soliciting your close clients, we are doing everything we can to get that loan back to you. And let me ask you a question. You've sent us many, 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 many loans over the years. Do we solicit your clients?
You've gone out of your way to make sure those clients come back to me.
Yeah.
And here's for all you guys right now that are wondering, this is super important. One thing that I will say, this time around more than ever, even though it was aggressive before, I would say servicers are coming hard, right? I mean, one of my guys just lost a deal, and the servicer undercut him by a half point with no fees. Just like, we couldn't even do that for free. It was ridiculous, right? And my response back is, this is why you need to choose Rocket, because at the end of the day, it's a high likelihood that you guys are going to keep the loan. If you send it to, let's say, Mega, which is another bank that a lot of my guys like to use, it's a extremely high likelihood, probably 100%, that by the time that 6-month CPO is up, it's already gone. It's somewhere else. So the second you refinance, I said, listen, here's old school. If you want a little bit of old school like tactics, if your servicer is not Rocket, don't order a payoff. Instruct your escrow officer to not order a payoff. Your title not to order a payoff until you're pretty much done, because they will steal it. Now, if you make this decision up front, a better decision to go to Rocket, then when that time comes, even if your client goes around you and goes direct, you guys bring it right back to us. And then you don't go hunt. I mean, that's been my experience with it. It's happened enough times. It's even happened when you guys shouldn't have done it. And I got a story for that, but you guys shouldn't have done it. You guys should have kept it, because you guys had it 30 days before one of my loan officers did. And then he didn't even he was competing against you guys. And then he found out it was Rocket. He called me all pissed off. So then I got pissed off. And then I called my rep. He dug into it, and he's like, hey, our retail guy had this 30 days before you guys even had it. You guys still don't even have it submitted to us. and your loan officer is pissed off. But hey, we're gonna move that out of retail over to you guys. Yeah. All you got to do is match the price that they had given him, because they were fighting for the loan. So they kept, and I was like, man, they should have kept that one. They should have fought for it. They had no obligation to give that to us. My loan officer should have been ashamed, right? Like, you can't blame anybody for that. You guys should have been fighting for it. You should have beat Rocket, I said, fair and square. So after that one moment, because that was kind of the clincher for me, where you guys shouldn't have given me that one and you did, I was done. I was like, this is it. I have so much faith and confidence that you guys are always going to do the right thing, that I'm all in. You like that? All in. I'm all in on on Rocket.
Yeah, look, I think brokers are so smart. That's what I love about this business. I mean, successful brokers are like, it's small business at its best. It's grit, it's hustle, it's grind. It's you guys are street, you understand the business. I think people understand what this ultimatum's all about. I mean, when you look at the timing, we were scaling and growing and growing and growing, and we actually did more volume than UWM did, I think 2 or 3 months before they did the ultimatum. And so when you look at the reason why, the leaders over there said we're doing this, it was to protect brokers. No, we were gaining market share because brokers really liked our process, our price. And again, history is littered with people that try to pin two groups against each other for their own self-interest, and that's exactly what's going on here. And it's unfortunate because I think the broker's biggest superpower for sure is the fact that they have good lenders fighting for their business. And when people try
Yeah.
to take that away and remove choice, that's like literally the broker's superpower. So, we believe in choice. We believe in earning your business the right way. Unfortunately, there is this choice that you have to make. And we're just going to keep working our asses off relentlessly to build the best place for brokers to build their business. And we'll keep rolling. And we're excited about what we have ahead of us.
So let's shift now over to this technology side because I'm a technology junkie. I am so all in on learning. I've been, so I finally moved it to 5 a.m., but I started waking up at 4 a.m. specifically to be uninterrupted. And I wanted 3 hours every single morning. I did this for, I think, 4 months of just playing with AI, finding out what it's capable of doing. And I was just, my mind was blown of how little I was using it, how at, kindergarten level, but how quickly I got to where I needed to be. And with that said, now I'm kind of sitting back and watching what the big boys are doing, because you guys are obviously going at it pretty hot and heavy, and I want to learn a little bit about what some of the future holds in AI for Rocket, but also for us, for our group.
That's a very deep question, my friend. Where do we begin? When I look, I'll speak to some of the things that have worked really well on the retail side, and then I think that's helpful because there's a lot of originators on here wondering, and then we can maybe talk about what we've launched and what we're launching on the wholesale side. But what's cool again about being a diverse company is we're testing and launching and learning on the retail side, and it's like, okay, what works, what's effective, what doesn't, and then we can help deliver the products that work to our brokers, which is again another reason why I think us having a retail side of the business is important for brokers. But look, there's obvious ones, Dino. The AI voice out there right now is unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. I had a conversation yesterday with an AI agent I thought was a human for like 2 minutes. I was embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to admit it. But that's really taking off. And it's like, some of the lower intent leads that historically we spent a lot of time having humans call and leave voicemails and dial and maybe even have the first few minute conversation. We have AI voice doing that now, and it's the conversion is fantastic. That's number one. Number two is AI texting. And so when we have loan officers working a pipeline of a couple hundred clients, to be able to have triggers where AI is texting with relevant, beautiful, grammatically accurate texts, and then the humans are picking it up when the client responds or wants to converse. The scale it's giving us is just incredible. AI, agentic chat, being able to take somebody from hello all the way to like verified approved, heck, all the way into process, is exciting, but very rare. I will go back to what we talked about earlier, is AI taking a client tip to tail. I mean, very, very rare. But can we use AI to help do a lot of the monotonous prospecting, data collecting, and then when it comes to camaraderie and rapport and structuring the deal, that's where the humans come in. And so it's like, as opposed to having to talk to 10 clients to find two that qualify to present a loan option to, Now our LOs are talking to 10 clients, all 10 of them are qualified and you're presenting loan options to. And so I challenge brokers. I mean, there's all sorts of, you're all different. You all run different businesses. You all have different lead flow. You got to find the areas of your business where you're consumed with data monotony, and how do you have AI replace that so that you can do what you do best? So, just so I'd say over the last 6 months for us at Rocket, this stuff has started like booming. It's from concept and test to just all the way across Rocket, and you're seeing conversion really start to fly. So then,
With
any questions on that?
real quick,
Yeah.
let's pause. Yeah, let's pause there for a sec. So the AI texting and voice and all that sounds super cool. Recently, I've been hearing a lot about compliance issues with all that. And, obviously, I'm guessing you guys have a pretty robust legal department. But where are we with that? Because I just had a loan officer ask me if he can get an email address for Sophie, his AI chat bot. And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think I can get her an email address, right? And he's like, why not? Yeah, she's not going to be quoting rates. So I'm like, I don't know, man. I go, let me look into it. It feels like it's a little deceptive. Feels like something. So where are we going to end up with that? Because ultimately you're supposed to be licensed if you're going to be asking questions and doing things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Or is
look,
it just quoting rates?
we have a magnificent legal team, a big one and a talented one,
Yeah.
because we're the largest, there's a lot at risk. And so, yeah, any AI we deploy is heavily researched, disclosed, and we're not, at this point in time presenting rates and costs. But it's back to, I mean, as you think about as an LO, the things that require no talent whatsoever, but consume the majority of your time, that's not a smart way to run your business. And that's where we're plugging AI. And so it's not about negotiating rates or cost. It is the 100 dials you're used to making, let AI do that. The outreach via text messaging, let AI do that. The maybe initial conversation just to get a feel for where someone's at in the purchase process. If you're a lead buy type business, let AI do that. But AI is not doing, the licensed activity or the things that, in my opinion, take the talent. And that's why humans are going to be involved in mortgages for a very, very long time. But we can remove a lot of that monotony.
And where are you guys at, or even you personally, where are you at on client makes the mistake of filling out a form and over 100 people call or text immediately? It almost seems overwhelming, and it pisses off a lot of people. I don't know, like, even how to answer that question myself other than, yeah, it's
Yeah.
annoying, but
Well,
where do we go with all this?
the credit triggers it became embarrassing for our industry, in my opinion. I mean, to be a client that has your credit pulled and to get, I mean, you've seen it, 58 text messages in the first 2 hours and 72 voicemails. It was honestly embarrassing for our industry. And we were heavy advocates up on the Hill. We have a great government affairs team, and we worked in partnership with a few others to pass the trigger bill. And now, as of this month, they're banned. And so that's a big move, Dino. We're very, very proud of being part of that and helping. But that's not the only way. I mean, there's data leads and things like that. And there's brokers and LOs and mortgage companies that are doing it the right way, compliantly. And as you know, there's folks who aren't doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And I think triggers is very helpful. That eliminates a lot of what you're talking about, but there's still other avenues that are creating some of that.
I mean, I've never done leads. I've only ever been a self-gen referral based guy. But as I'm trying to grow the company, I started dabbling in lead, right? And I hired my first lead guy, and quite honestly, he's crushing it. He's doing really well. And now we're trying to expand that market a little bit, but it does come with significant headaches that I've never had to deal with in my life. Um, I'm also starting to see the game a little bit. And I, interviewing other guys and I'm talking to guys and I'm realizing some of these loan officers have 3 different CRMs and they're coming at the client themselves 3 different times, right? Or if the client says, do not call, boom, no problem. Move you over to this CRM. And then they go at it from there. So it's insane I guess the game
Yeah.
behind leads. So with that said, in today's world, right? Obviously, Rocket is big on, buying Redfin and um, get aggregating their own leads and going after that. But in the broker community, do you think there's going to be a separation of classes almost where you're either going to be you're going to have to be more referral based, or potentially you're going to start losing to more of the big boys in the lead game because, like I talked to one guy and he's like, man, the big boys will spend $500,000 just trying to figure out how to get to the lead a second faster than everybody else. I don't know. Where do you think that's going?
It's a good question. There's more and more call center type brokers that have popped up over the last 10 years, via the way of technology and scale. And so, from my lens, it's not just the big boys getting bigger. I think there's a lot more competition in a kind of call center type style of purchasing leads. So it is very, very, very competitive. I mean, if you look at the history, brokers were 50% of the market, banks were in the game, financial crisis hit, brokers shrunk very small. A lot of these mega lenders went away and, it kind of cleaned out the industry. And now over the last 10 years, there's more and more people in the game. And so I don't think it's just about, the Rockets and the Loan Depots of the world in the lead game. There's a lot of competition there. And so, if you look at, let's talk about purchase for a minute to answer your question, because I think these are 2 completely different businesses. The game's changed dramatically over the last 10 years in purchase. You think about the life cycle of a purchase client. Typically, they used to start with an agent because the agent could get them access to homes that they could look at and then eventually go visit, and then agent to LO. And well, now with Redfin and Zillow's, humans are starting their journey themselves online via these search portals. And they're kind of acting as an agent in many of these times. And then when it's time to actually, where they're much closer to, making an offer or visiting a home, is when they engage with the agent and or LO. We have all sorts of data on it. Hence why we bought Redfin. And so being able to be in the home search game, top of funnel, is very, very important for everybody included. And then clearly having great relationships with real estate agents has and always will be a massive deal. And obviously you guys are the best in the business at that in the broker community. And we're trying to help there. We have a partnership with Compass now that's really big. And we're, very, very, our brokers are front and center in that partnership. There's almost 300,000 Compass agents. We have 30,000 plus brokers out there. We have a beautiful network of professionals on both sides, and we have our Compass credit. So I don't know where I'm going with this, Dino, other than like the purchase lead game has changed a lot, and a lot of it's now starting at search versus starting at the agent. And how do you get into search? We're there. You can also, obviously having relationships with agents gets you guys there as well. And there's some interesting things we're doing with Redfin with brokers that we're very, very excited about as well.
So let's ask. I'm going to ask you a question that I get asked a lot. Yeah, but obviously with their purchase of Redfin, they're trying to just keep everything to themselves, right? They're just trying to keep everything in their retail department. They're not going to give any of those to you guys. What do you say to that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So when we bought Redfin, there's a few elements to Redfin. There's the search portal. Okay. There's the brokerage. So there's a real estate brokerage, and they also had a mortgage company. Okay. So think of it three ways. So there's the search portal, which generates lead flow. There's the real estate brokerage, and then there's the mortgage company. Mortgage company was small. They joined our company. Real estate brokerage was small, and the portal search engine's awesome. It's the second largest in the country. But we have big plans to make it the largest and most effective search portal in America. And with our partnership with Compass and the introduction of putting coming soon listings and exclusive listings, we believe it's the best search portal now in the world and provides more access to home ownership than any other search portal. So we have big ambition, Dino, to answer your question, to double, triple, quadruple, 10x, 20x, 50x the amount of traffic and lead flow. We will not be able to handle that on our own with our, mortgage, just our mortgage banker. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity there, and we're already launching and learning and testing some of that out. The second piece is with this Compass partnership. Compass is the largest real estate company in America. There's, close to 300,000 agents. We've launched the Compass Credit, and we're connecting these Compass agents with our Rocket Pro brokers, and that is a massive strategy of ours that we're leaning into very, very hard. And there's a lot more to come. I mean, we launched the 40 basis point Compass Credit exclusive to our brokers, and there's a lot more things we'll be doing to connect our partners and our Compass agents together in this partnership. So there's a lot we're doing to answer your question, and there's a heck of a lot more to come. And we need brokers with Redfin top of the funnel and how it's growing and almost 300,000 agents in this partnership. We need brokers to be able to do this, and it's a great value proposition for them as well.
I'm going to ask a tough question. Be careful how you answer it.
Thanks for the warning.
Who can do purchase deals better, Rocket Retail or me?
Oh man. Well, I love our retail channel and I love our wholesale channel, and I've explained why they both matter in a lot. It just depends, Dino. It really does. We're very bullish on Rocket Pro, and we know that purchase is won locally in many cases. The majority of the time, it's very, very local. It's local brokers working with local real estate agents that know the locality really well, and that's why we invest so much into Rocket Pro. And so you guys do it in a very, very elite way.
Just for the show, can you just say it real quick? You can, Dino.
We love you, Dino. You can do it. You can do it better than anyone.
Thank you. All right. Okay. So here's where I'm going with that question. Better released Tin Man.
Yeah.
And before it was theirs, right? And my friends over at Neo Home Loans, very relationship centric, super high level guys over there. I friends with a lot of them, really respect how they do loans. And I was just kind of taken back when they went to Better because, I was like, man, those are two totally different DNAs. And and then so he walked me through the partnership. He walked me through what it's going to look like and all this other stuff. And then started bragging about this technology and how amazing it is, right? And how much cheaper they can do the loan. And I was like, during the last refi boom, I remember there were times where people were coming to me and saying, well, Better is offering this deal. And I was like, hey, that come back to me when they can't do it. And and I'm like, but respectfully, right? Like if you can get it, I want you to get it. And they came back and they said, yeah, and it was actually pretty easy. They didn't veer at all. They didn't change the rate. They didn't change the price. And I'm like, how did they do that? How did they even do it for that price? Come to find out later, they didn't even charge title insurance. Right. And they were using so much technology even back then that they were able to lower the price. So now they release Tin Man kind of out to the public, which takes away their edge from their retail department. So I was kind of shocked that they did that, but I think the market's probably bigger to release it, right? And have that strategy. Does Rocket have something that is comparable to Tin Man or better, or will have something better? Is Tin Man even the best thing out there right now for what they claim they can do?
A lot of what we do behind the scenes is automated now when it comes to income automation, asset automation, and we're working on AI that kind of ties it all together and speeds up what a human being does on whether it's underwriting, processing, funding. But there's also things that we don't control. Tin Man doesn't control because there's so many vendors involved in the process, and that's something we're focused on. Whether it be VOEs, whether it be homeowners insurance, whether it be title, and so we got to control what we can control internally, but we also have to be working with these others to speed up the process. And so I don't know. I can't speak to Better and Better's process and what they're building. But I would put our process up against anybody as far as speed and ease of use, both for brokers and for the consumer. And we're heavily investing AI to automate a lot of it as well. So we'll continue to see.
Uh, Yeah. I know you guys just released a new LOS. I
Yeah,
don't know if it's live yet or
it
not,
is.
but I did just a quick YouTube demo on it or whatever it was that went out. I struggle. So it looked pretty cool. I won't deny. um, but I also struggle with the fact that it's not
Yeah.
mine. And if I don't go to Rocket, even though the majority of our deals go to Rocket, if I don't go there, then I have to move it, drop it in somewhere else. Now I'm functioning out of two systems. It just seems like a problem to me, right? Like, why would a broker choose to do that if they can't function out of there? Or can they move it and then bring back the completed file and still run a mortgage call report and still function out of it down the road?
Yeah, the vision for Jupyter is it's a fully functioning LOS that you can run your entire business off of. Now, we have fully API'd into it, and so when you use Rocket through Jupyter, you never have to leave the platform. But we believe in choice and we believe in optionality. We think it'd be crazy if you didn't partner with other lenders and have other options. And so, yeah, you can export the 3.4 and use any other lender using Jupyter. And so we're very bullish on it being a tip to tail full solution that a broker could run their entire business off of. But we also know it's not for everybody too. And so when you look at our roadmap and what we're building, we have a philosophy of we want to be where brokers are at. We don't want to create a closed loop system that forces you to use us and us alone. And so if Jupyter is a solution, you look at it, you demo it, you love it, it's free, there's a lot of great functionality and we're leaning in heavily to it. It's a beautiful solution. But I could keep going down the list. We're
Yeah.
working with other big LOSs and even custom LOSs brokers are using. So in the spirit of freedom and optionality, knowing that's what your superpower is, we want to have options and we want to be where you're at in the most elite way. And so Jupyter is not a strategy to say, how do we move the whole broker community on something that we have built? We just got a lot of people knocking on our door saying, man, these LOSs are getting expensive. You guys are great at building technology. Could you offer me a solution? And we built one and delivered it. But it's beautiful and it's going to be elite, but it's not for everybody either. And we don't care.
Okay. Here's my favorite question. This is going to be tough for you because you got a beautiful wife and you got 3 little boys. So I'm going to take you, I'm going to drop you off somewhere in the United States where you don't really know anybody. You have all the knowledge you have, and I give you just enough money so that you can live without struggling, right? But definitely no like extra money to go wheel and deal and buy a bunch of business and do a bunch of stuff. You got to go like grassroots. And you have to make $1 million before you can come back and visit or come back to your family. You can't see your wife, can't see your kids until you make $1 million. You have all the knowledge you have, and then you go. What are you gonna do?
Jeez. And we're in the mortgage industry. Well, so I'd stay in the mortgage industry.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah.
I would pick a lane, a very specific lane. I think that brokers that struggle or they take a really long time to build wealth think that I'm going to do everything. I'm going to be the broker that does it all, right? I'm going to do purchase, I'm going to do refi, I'm going to specialize in non-QM and FHA or FHA streamlines, VA EARLs. I'm also going to buy leads. I'm also going to build real estate agent relationships. And it's like, what are you doing? I would pick a very specific lane. That'd be the first thing. And I don't know what that would be, but maybe I would just work on building real estate agent relationships and that's it. I don't want to see a lead, or maybe I go the opposite and go VA Earl data leads. But I would pick a lane. And then I would surround myself with the smartest possible people that do that same thing. And I would learn from them. And we brought in a lot of talent at Rocket over the last few years with Varun and Jonathan and Sean, our new CTO, and Jamie. Like, I've learned so much, but the common theme is they just surround themselves with smart people. Why try to rewrite? Like, just surround yourself with smart people, ask questions, and learn. So that'd be another thing I would do. I'd pick a lane. I'd then go surround myself with the smartest people in that lane. And then I would just focus on speed. I think our founder, Dan Gilbert, he always uses speed of the game, speed of the game, speed of the game. That's the name of the game. And so I don't know what that means, but whether it's returning phone calls, answering every call.
I had a coach one time that told me, he actually told me I had just had my fourth kid, and he actually said, I'm going to take your fourth kid. And you or your wife aren't going to be able to see him until you make $1 million. What are you going to do? And it made me think about it, right? And the thing is like, I thought to myself, not just me, but what would my wife expect me to do? And it really like shifted things a little bit. And I knew for the first time that my wife wouldn't care about work-life balance. She wouldn't care about, if she had to pick up some slack around the house, because that's not going to make me $1 million, right? Like, I knew there was this, so that taught me a lesson about alignment and how I feel like there needs to be alignment between husband and wife. Otherwise, it's pretty darn difficult to go out there and do what you're going to do. But the one thing that really triggered was that I wouldn't waste a second. If there was an opportunity to talk to somebody, I'd pick up the phone, I'd call them. There was an opportunity to do anything, I'd do it immediately. And I think sitting back and strategizing so much all the time doesn't actually have any action to it, right? And granted, right, you should be working on your business, you should be doing this. But man, I got to tell you, majority of the time, if you just said right now, Dean, I need you to go make some money, I'd probably just go back to my database and start calling everybody I know. And somehow, one way or another, I'd pick up a few
Yeah.
loans. Somebody's in debt. Somebody's going to be buying a house. Somebody knows somebody. And now in your case, right, the question's a little bit different because you don't know anybody there. You can't call your past database. And I asked that question because there's a lot of new people, or there's a lot of people that have lost everything and it feels like they're starting over. And don't be paralyzed. Don't stick your head in the sand, right? Like, come up with a strategy. And I love your strategy about picking a lane. I think that's super important. If you could be an expert at something, you will be perceived that way. And the riches are in the niches, right? Like, it truly is. And I know it's so counterintuitive to a lot of people. They can't help but think, but there's a loan there. I can grab that loan. I know you can, but stick in your lane. I promise you it's going to come back tenfold. And then surrounding yourself with really smart people. I mean, that's absolutely the best way to go. I've learned so much from other people. I remember I joined a mastermind group, and I did it for, I don't know, about 5 years. It was expensive. It wasn't cheap, but I surrounded myself with all $100 million+ producers, and I learned so much from them. They're some of my best friends now, but you will learn so much from smart people. So, to everybody listening, do yourself a favor, invest in yourself. Even if you have to spend a little bit of money to go surround yourself with people, if there aren't people that you know. But I can tell you this, I called somebody one day because he was the top producer in the company. I said, "Hey man, can I pick your brain? I need to know what you're doing." Right. And I learned something. Do that often. I think that's the smartest way to go. So I loved your answer. And then speed, right? I think that goes down to what I just said. If I was in that situation, I wouldn't waste a second about thinking who to call. I would just pick up the phone and start calling, right? And go, go, go. So pick your lane, surround yourself with smart people, and
Speed
speed.
of the game.
Yeah,
Speed of the game.
speed of the game. So, dude, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, man. And I love what you guys are doing at Rocket. I'm actually really enjoying watching, and I love the class that Rocket does it in. And in our mortgage industry, I mean, it's kind of face it, that's kind of hard to do sometimes, right? Like it's not the classiest, but you guys bring a class to our business that I really appreciate because it's something that's always meant
Yeah.
something to me. I'm always going to treat the client with respect and love. I'm always going to try and do it the right way, no matter what. And no matter what my competitors might be trying to do or the lies they say in order to get the deal, the whatever, it's just like, you know what? Do it
Yeah.
the right way. So, guys, listen, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. You guys, if you don't know this, somehow, some way, the podcast made it into the top 100 of Apple Podcasts. At one point, it got even in the top 50. And it's fluctuating a little bit here and there, but that's a huge accomplishment in our little mortgage world to be in the top 100 in the business category in all of Apple. So I owe that to you guys, and I really do thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks again for listening. And remember, this whole social media thing, right? It helps. So please comment, and share even more importantly. All right. Bye, guys.